Hey, this is Professor Triplett, and I'm going to attempt to create this object. And when I say attempt, that's because I've made a video earlier and Maya had a problem. One of the tools wasn't working, so I'm going to start over and see if I can get this to work. So, of course, we know we're going to dial in our numbers here. And just make it 3.5 by 3.5, so it's square. Let's move our pivot. Snap that pivot to the corner. And move this guy up. Right there. There we go. Okay, now, for me to get this section off, I want to have it subdivided properly, so I'm actually going to use my Mesh Tools Insert Edge Loop tool, and I'm going to use multiple, use equal multiplier and 3. Let's see what that does. There we go. So it divides it 3 times, and it just gives me a quarter section down here. So I know that's going to work. And then I know that the extrusion on this should be 3.5, so I can actually just dial that in, and look at that. Works perfect. And then I'm going to bevel this little edge down here, so that's why I just removed this one. So I can actually remove this one if I want to. Control backspace just to remove it. And we'll go ahead and let's close that tool now. Let's go ahead and just do a bevel. And let's go to our front view so we can see what we're getting here. Do something like that. Now you can see it's not matching up. We can play with the fraction if we want. Or I could basically just move it by hand after I'm done with this part. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to go to my verts. I'll move this up a little bit. I'll move this kind of out like that. And I actually have this I have this line right here. You can see it kind of lines up perfectly. That was the cutting board I took the picture on. And I'll move that down a little bit. So now I know it's matching just right. Now I'm going to grab all these edges inside here, and because I know I just did a marquee select, I know I got the back side edges too, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit Control Backspace and get rid of those. Now I still have these floating edges right here, but that's okay because I'm going to use those. I'm going to connect to those with these because I want all quads. Remember, all quads. If I go ahead and just export this piece into Sketchfab, I might get problems where like this N-gon face doesn't show up here. So I've seen people in their projects try to upload stuff with N-gons and then they have problems. So we want to get rid of those. We want quads or triangles, but most likely quads. Quads are better. So for this, I can actually grab both of these. Let's go back to my front view. Grab both these verts and then Control Shift select these verts. And we go to our modeling toolkit. We can just hit connect and hit enter. So I know it's doing the connection on the back faces too. So that's the reason why I'm marquee selecting these. And I'll check it when I'm done just to double check and make sure I got it right. But it should be working. And then let me just do this. I'm going to maybe balance it out a little bit. Just move that up a little bit. And move that down a little bit. I just want to make it look like it has a nice even balance to it, nice flow. And I'm actually going to drop, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold shift down, and I'm just going to shift and drag across here with the multi-cut tool. Watch what happens. Boom, I'm just dropping an edge right there. All right, the reason why I did that is because if I smooth this, if I go ahead and use my hotkey 3 to see my smooth preview, what's going to happen is it's going to interpolate between this point and this point if I don't have an edge here. So the fact that I have this edge here, it'll basically give me a straight curve, if you will. So 1, 2, 3 will be all in a line with each other. Okay, so if you don't understand that, see earlier lessons. We're talking about 3 points to each curve. So let's go out. Let's make sure our back faces look good. See, they do. And we can probably hide our reference now. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's hide that reference. And this is the part where I got stuck on my earlier tutorial. I went ahead and I grabbed all of these edges, and then I just double click to deselect the ones I didn't want to bevel, like that and that. And I checked everything, and this one needs to be reselected. And then I went ahead and I went to bevel, and nothing happened. It actually did bevel it, but it didn't offset it the way it was supposed to. So, oh, that would be a problem. I just hit the wrong button. There we go. Well, this time it worked. And so here's the funny thing. I talked to students that were having the same problem. They were trying to bevel, and the bevel wouldn't come out, and it was basically doing the same thing I said that mine was doing. So I know that maybe it was a bug, you know, something that maybe Maya will, or Autodesk might fix later, but at the moment I just had to redo it. It doesn't matter, it didn't really take too long to make it anyway, so I just went ahead and redid it really fast. And let's just go to Mesh Display, Soften Edges, and then we'll go ahead and just delete that history out, and now we have our piece. And it worked this time, so good. Why don't we lay out some UVs for it really quick here. So UV editing, and I'll just go face. Let's go ahead and just do our automatic unwrap. Hit W to drop that tool, go into the unfold, make sure you unfold it. There's going to be a few areas that need to be fixed up. We'll go ahead and let's do an orient shell, so it'll straighten stuff back out. And then this one here, this section here is where I'll make my center point. I'll just move that over here for right now. And I'll basically take these, might as well grab that one too, like so, and then just do a, yeah, I guess stitch together is bringing it over here. That's okay, we can live with that. I'll just grab one at the top and then shift double click at the bottom. That'll grab the whole ring, and then I'll just say stitch together. You can see it flipped it for me, stitched it together. That worked well. And then this section here. So here's one where we've got like this slope, and we have to decide how we're gonna handle that, because what's gonna happen is that it's gonna have some tension when it starts to slope here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just stitch this part together. And you can see this is what we're getting here. And obviously we, you can have UVs cross over if it works right, but in this case it's not gonna work right. Usually I try to make it so they don't cross over though. For the most part, that's usually best practices. There's times when you're working on like game type models or something where you want to just reuse the texture space, and you may want to have your UVs cross over. So I could take this and I can kind of move this like this. I can grab these and just go to my unfold those, you know, and they'll come out like that. They'll start to adjust to where I've tried to move this thing. Oops, I got the wrong one there. Just these. And I could stitch those together if I want. But what's important now is I need to put the actual texture on here so I can see what it's doing when I'm making these adjustments. So assign existing material. There's the unit wood. There we go. And then what I'll want to do is just take this and basically, actually let's take all of them for right now. Let's rotate this like so. And then I'll have to scale it a little bit so it'll fit. Move that into my main section here, like so. And a little bit smaller. Move that up. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. So if we go to object mode, let's turn off our thick edges so we can see what's going on. That's actually border edges. I say thick edges because I'm just using common vernaculars. So if I go ahead and I start adjusting this and just start moving these around, I can start to see like how this is going to look. But you can see right here, like that doesn't really work too well. So basically, this is just a decision you have to make about like, how do you want this thing to look when it's connected to the other stuff? Do you want to have like the slopes start to change. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just take this edge right here, and I'm going to just break that edge right there. So let me just hit cut, and then I'll do the same thing. I don't think I even connected these yet. Yeah, those are not even connected. So I'm going to take this off. Let's unfold it again. It straightens out. Let's grab these and unfold these. They should straighten out. There we go. And then I'm just going to take this right here, and let's see if I can make it kind of match up. Now, this isn't a perfect scenario. I would definitely, if I wanted this to be like a hero object, I would take it into a 3D painting program and fix it all up. But it's not that kind of object, so I'm not worrying about it. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to deselect that, and then I'll just do a stitch and start stitching these other pieces back onto here. And let's see this last piece right here. We're missing, I think it's this one right here. Yep, that's the one. Cut it, sew it. That's probably it. Let's see here. Did that not work? I already hit the wrong thing. Let me grab this face. Let's move that off. That should be going to here, right? There we go. You just take these and you can just select both of them and hit sew, and that'll just sew them together. And so this isn't going to be a perfect scenario where it transitions just right. You can see right here there's a seam, but you could paint that out in a 3D painting program if you wanted to. Or, you know, you could just stitch this back onto this other piece. It probably would be less obvious then. In fact, let me show you what that would look like. So we're going to go edge, and let's just stitch that back. So you can see now that it gets rid of that problem there. And honestly, this is actually okay as long as you're not going to do like normal maps or anything where you have to have like its unique space to do it. So that would be fine. Nobody will know the difference. And then we just obviously take these and put these where they belong, which would be somewhere up in this area. And then we should have pretty much a finished piece. And I also definitely suggest like scaling these up, like taking these and going like something like that so that they fill the space. And then also the grain is going a particular way, so you might want to take a look at the grain and say, does this look good with this scenario? You just rotate that, move it up here, scale it up, fill the space, use those textures, use those texture spaces. And all right, so there we go. That looks okay. That looks okay. Yeah, it's decent. It's decent. I think this, like some of these could be rotated. Like this would be better if it was rotated. But I'm not going to get too picky with this. It's just a quick demo of how we would do this. All right, thanks for watching, and have a good time modeling. Hey, this is Professor Triplet, and I just wanted to come back and say that I did end up stitching this edge right here, and the reason why is because the grain in the wood should actually go this direction on this piece, so I had that part wrong. I realized that after I stopped the last video, so this is just a little add-on to the end. But anyway, in the end, this is how it looks, and like I said, overlap is okay in some situations. Sometimes you don't want it, and like if I was going to actually 3D paint this, it has to have its own texture space for all the UVs. You can't paint overlap like that. But in this case, because this is just a simple piece that's using one texture and it's not going to be 3D painted, it's fine to have some overlap like that. It actually looks okay. So that's the finished piece, and let's go on to the next one.